excuse me, special session to order. And we're going to amend the agenda to add 2.7. It's the MOU with the union met today, and then we have an MOU with the board and the union that we'll move to 2.7.
Well, Madam Chair, I haven't seen or heard any of that. We're supposed to vote on that today? I haven't heard nor seen any memorandum of understanding from the union.
I'll talk about the MOU. These are things that
I need to have it before me. I need to see that and read it for myself. I don't need the
I get them in
superintendent to
this
tell me.
meeting. The items
Thank
in
you.
the
And see,
MOU.
this is of such a great importance, you know, putting stuff on the table at the last minute.
Okay.
And we haven't even had time to read it and digest it. I would like to have a minute to read and digest this.
Do you want to do that now or wait till we get to this item?
And I'll explain more of it when we get to
I
that
can
item.
understand what I read. I don't need an explanation. I just need to have it before time, and I need to have it know what I'm reading and have time to read it and digest it. That question with number 4, with that newly hired teacher who has previously retired and returned to the district or is hired, will they get that sign-on bonus too, of $2,500?
If they have a BAM,
If they have a BAM.
that's a 3-year aggregate BAM, and that's
So if they-
stipulated by DOE.
So if they have retired and stayed out a year as required, they wouldn't have that BAM then.
If they had 3 years
If they have a
teaching
3-year
prior,
aggregate BAM,
if they taught for 3 years in a row and then went home for a year and then came back and they,
Oh, see, so no interruption in service. See, I thought that would be an interruption in service.
they could still have a BAM though.
if it's 3
But
years.
see, that's what I'm trying to clarify. So we're gonna say if it's no interruption in service then, with the VAM scores. I know that they can still have a VAM, but when you go out and you're out for 1 year, are we gonna continue using that VAM score, or will we not use that VAM score? Because there has been an interruption in service.
Each year when DOE sends me the BAM scores, they show me the BAM scores of every person within our district that has earned a BAM within the last 3 years, whether they're still working with us or not, or whether they've left and come back. So when I pull that file, just like I did last year, if they met and have a 3-year aggregate BAM score anytime within the last 3 years is effective or highly effective, they got the bonus.
So that's what we're gonna use. My question was not answered. I said the interruption in service. We will be having an interruption in service when they retire. They have been out for a year.
Correct.
And so that question I ask is, are we still using that VAM and they have had an interruption in service?
We have to use the BAM score,
Okay,
period.
so maybe that should be put in here then with our teachers. So everybody understand too, the newly hired teachers, if they have a VAM score, will receive that $2,500 bonus.
That's in 1 and 2.
Newly hired teachers will not hold a BAM. You will have to have taught for 4 years. You have to have.
Excuse me, I phrased that wrong about newly hired teachers. Will these teachers be returning retired teachers who would be returning to the district?
Well, they would fall under 1 and 2. Paragraph number 4 just allows me to place them on step 10 instead of step 1 like we used to do. That's the difference. That's the only thing paragraph 4 allows us to do. 'Cause up until this MOU,
Well, I'm understanding, and I'm reading, the parties agree that for the school identified in paragraph 1 above, each new hire probationary teacher will receive a 2,500 sign-on bonus for highly effective, 2,000 for effective, based on the teacher's 3-year state aggregated VAM score. This amount will not be added to their base pay. So that was saying that for the each new hire probationary teacher.
and
And
that
then it
includes a
didn't.
person who's retired, is now, even though
Well,
this
see,
is
and
not
then we
a-
go down, and number 2 talks about, paragraph talks about new hire teachers. Number 4 talks about newly hired teachers who have previously retired and returned. So that's all I'm asking. Do they get that VAM too?
they have a VAM score within the last
They get
3
that
years.
2,500 too?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
But to clarify, the crux of number 4, instead of placing them on step 1 at the beginning teacher salary, it places them on step 10.
I read that and understood it. And they're gonna be placed on step 10 plus get the sign-on bonus,
Provided they have a VAM
2,500.
Provided they have the VAM score.
Any more questions?
No, ma'am.
All right. We'll move to the items for individual consent. 2.1, adoption of the budget. Assume Mr. Copeland?
Try to talk into the mic. How are y'all?
Hello.
Great. We need to obviously approve our tentative budget that was advertised already, as well as the millage rates. And you should have this in front of you, but I'll just go through real quickly. The millage rates for this 2018 year, the total to be levied is at this point is 6.386 mills, and this is 3.29% less than the rollback rate computed by the Florida statutes based on last year's numbers. And if you want to break out the millage specifically, and I think we have to do the motions and the approvals on each one of them individually, we have the required local effort, and the total mills is 4.138, and that includes a 0.005 prior year adjustment. And again, those certified mills were sent to us last week by the Department of Education. And the discretionary millage, which is a non-voted millage, discretionary operating, it's been static. It's 0.7480 mills. And the capital outlay millage, which is also a non-voted millage, is 1.50. So the combination of those gives you the 3.860 mills. And just to compare it to last year, we were at 6.5910 mills. And real quickly, the value, the property values is based on this year is $744,784,364 versus $738,377 last year, for a difference of about $6.4 million in the valuation. So if y'all have any questions on those, they're pretty standard. I've filled out the Form 420 with the property appraiser's office that we need to complete, but it's based on these numbers here, and these numbers are provided to us. And so that's pretty straightforward, and I'll go on when we go over the proposed tentative budget that y'all had in front of you already, I can kind of tell you what that provides, those mills. But Mr. Reeves, do we need to do the motion and approvals right now? We can do them right now, or?
Madam Chairman, that's up to you. You have to approve each of the millages. You have to approve them by separate motion. You can do it now and then have Mr. Copeland explain the budget. You can have Mr. Copeland explain the budget and then do the adoption of the millage, however you'd like to do it. One thing I do want to point out, though, I believe the documents in the packet that are on the website are correct. They've got required local effort at 4.1380. If you look at the agenda, it's got required local effort 4.1330. So that's a typo, I think.
That's what's happened there is the agenda left off the .005 prior period adjustment that needed to be added to that number.
Right.
So the one on the screen is the correct
The
one?
4.138 is the correct number.
Okay,
And that's in your materials. That's
Okay.
4.138.
So 4.1330 is incorrect.
That's right. You need to add it should have added the .005, and I just didn't catch that on the agenda item.
okay.
Thank you.
Which would you rather do? It really doesn't matter. We can go ahead and
We can
and
go
vote
ahead,
on-
let's go ahead and we'll move through the tentative budget, if
Okay.
that's okay, and then we can just do them in one swipe. You'll see the budget summary that follows, and obviously the summary of the mills that we just spoke of at the top, and the revenues and, our projected fund balance at June 30th, 2019. And again, our final budget will be prepared, and our final budget hearing is scheduled for September 17th. So these are tentative numbers. They're going to change. But this is the tentative budget that we prepared based on the best information we had through the end of the year and through now. And it's the same numbers that we had when we had the meeting to approve the advertisement of the budget. We're going to be, again, we're basically breaking even. And so we just got to continue to work to identify areas we can cut. We can't up our revenues. So we've got to continue identifying areas that we can streamline and cut any fat that we can. So when we get the final budget prepared and presented for approval, again, there will be some changes in here. I don't expect them to be significant.
Madam Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
And this budget gives us the required fund balances and all of that we're supposed to keep.
That's correct. When we do the September 17th or September budget that we have to provide
Yeah.
DOE, yes, that's correct. And again, we'll have a lot of things nailed down by that point, but shouldn't be any significant swings.
So, Madam Chairman, unless the board has any questions about the budget or any of that, you should accept your motions and separate votes on each of those three millages.
Okay, is there any other questions or comments of Mr. Copeland about the budget? Okay. We're going to move to Would we do a public hearing?
Yes, you could open it for public, it's fine.
Okay. Is there any comments from the public or anything on public hearing about the budget? Okay. There being no public comment, we'll move to point number 3, motions. A, B, and C will need to be individual. Is there a motion on the required local effort?
I move to accept the required effort, local effort, RLE 4.1380.
Is there a second?
I second.
Motion made by Ms. Gibson, second by Mr. Alford. All in favor? 5-0. Okay, discretionary. Is there a motion?
I make the motion to approve the discretionary millage rate of .7480.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Alford, second by Mr. Daniels. All those in favor? Okay. Capital outlay.
Make a
Is there-
motion to approve the capital outlay millage rate at 1.5000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Daniels, second by Ms. Gibson. All those in favor? Okay. And point 4, motion approval of the superintendent's 2018-2019 tentative budget. Is there a motion?
I make the motion to approve the 2018-2019 superintendent's budget.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Alford, second by Mr. Daniels. All those in favor? 5-0, Ms. Becky. Thank you, Mr. Copeland.
And again, if any of y'all, y'all reach out to me if I could spend some time with you one-on-one if that's needed, I don't mind. So just let me know. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item, 2.5, permission to advertise policy changes. Mr. Stallnaker?
Madam Chair, may I say something before
Sure.
Mrs. Stalmaker gets up?
Sure.
I want to know what has changed. We usually have a workshop on these. We usually have the original policy, the strike out, and then the new policy. I don't like anybody making decisions for me, just telling me that this has been revised. They don't tell you the original, what has been revised. We've sat right here, we've had workshops on those things, then we've had people telling us the state of Florida doesn't require these changes, but they want these changes, and we don't know, it's all just revised. And we sat right here, we've had workshops whenever we've had these policy changes. We've had the old policy, and we've had the new policy, and the strike-throughs. I can't let anybody do my job for me like that. That's just saying that you're telling me what to do, and I'm agreeing with you. I have not looked, I have not seen anything. That's telling all us board members that. And we usually do this on the screen. I don't know what has changed. We usually have a workshop on it, not somebody just show up on the table. Criminal background and employment history checks revised. Criminal background and history check revised. All these other things. These are not required by the state of Florida, but this is what we're recommending. What? What was the old one? What's the new one? Assignment within district revised. What's the old one? What's the new one? Policy 5120, assignment within district revised. Policy 5111.01, homeless student replacement. I don't know. As a board member, it's my duty and responsibility to see these things and then tell you what I want taken out and what I won't take them in. You're doing my job for me when you do this yourself, Mr. Attorney.
Madam Chairman, can we pull this item and request a board workshop?
Sure.
That's exactly what I want to do, pull it. Thank you.
When would you like to schedule the workshop? Anybody got a date?
Let me ask you a question, though, as far as revised go. Wasn't some of that because it was redundant? It was appearing someplace else?
The revisions were based off statutory, legal, and technical changes. And what you have provided is just a list of those that are revised and being revised. If the intent was to get permission to advertise the whole list, if we want to go through the whole list and go through each one of them, we can do that, and it's going to take about 5 or 6 hours.
Well, that's fine, that's our job.
Excuse me.
And we did that when the man came here.
It's totally up to the discretion of the board. If the board wants to go through, we're going to have,
Shortcuts.
if the board would like to go through each one of those, we can go through each one of them, and I can pull them up and show you every one of the changes that were either newly added to because of statute or technical changes. We can do that. That's not a problem, it's not easy, it's totally up to your time.
Nothing's easy what you get paid for.
Okay, I have faith in you. I
And
feel
then,
like it came from, excuse me, it came from Neola, so I mean, I don't see what the problem is with the way things are right here. I've read all this, I've gone through it.
Oh.
I mean,
Well,
what
you
would,
have
what would,
something I don't have, Ms.
what-
Gibson. You said you've read it and gone through it.
I've read what we were presented here. yes.
Okay, well, undoubtedly you have something that I don't have where these revisions have been made, and you have the revisions that have been made.
I've got
You have a
everything.
copy of them?
I have what was provided me, let's put it that way.
Oh, well, then you don't have what you need
Okay.
then. And
But
then
I-
it say
but
as
I'm
a
wondering,
result-
what would it accomplish, a workshop? What would a workshop accomplish?
And the public gets to hear too, and the public gets to
Nothing?
have input. But what we'll accomplish is, you're doing your job.
Well,
And you get paid for
I
doing
feel
your
like
job.
I do my job, yes.
So,
Okay.
Very
policy and
thoroughly.
We've
procedures,
pulled this and-
policy and, thank you.
Okay.
But let me
And-
just ask you something.
Excuse me, we've already pulled this and we'll be scheduling a workshop. Mr. Stallnaker, how long do you think it'll take you to be ready to get your info together?
Can I make a
Sure.
suggestion? I think maybe if you go ahead and take those policies and put them in that strike-through format where everybody can see everything.
Do it that way.
Okay, if you give those to the board members ahead of time,
Yes.
the board members can go through everything and then bring up the individual policies they have
That
some
they have a
concerns
problem
over,
with, yeah.
rather than trying to go through each and every one. I think you'd get through that a lot quicker if you gave the whole packet to each board member and then they can just.
That's exactly, the old one and the new ones and the strike-throughs. The old
what,
policy, the
Mr.
new
Sam?
policy, and the strike-throughs.
Totally up to the discretion of the board.
Out-
We'll have the old policies posted on the web, you can look through them on the site, on your.
I want mine on paper.
You can,
That's the way I always, you have a problem with that?
no ma'am, I'm just trying to
Okay,
talk.
okay, and I am too, I am,
One at a
Madam
time,
Chair,
please.
I am
Come
a board member, and when I answer and say what I want, I'm not over talking while he's talking, and I'm saying, well, I want mine on paper, when he say they're on the web, I want mine on paper, that's a
You can have
reply,
We'll get them for you,
thank you.
yes ma'am.
Okay.
But the normal procedures is for you to look at them on your Chromebooks, and if you want copies of them, that's fine, we'll get you copies of them.
Okay,
But the whole intent is, when we update and revise these procedures and these policies, each person that is responsible for that area updates those policies. But I'll explain the whole process, and if it pleases the board, we'll go through each one of them. If you just want to go through whatever you want to have, we'll answer your question.
I'd like Mr. Reese's idea that we get it beforehand so that some of them, there's no,
We'll have it by the end of the
if the state requires it, it's not an issue. I mean, we got to do it and stuff, so.
We'll have it for you by the end of the week.
Those are not the ones that I have a problem with, Madam Chair, what the state has, these revisions of what, other people have. They are making policy and giving it to me and tell me that I must approve it, and I haven't even seen the old one, not the new one.
Right.
That's not their
Okay,
job,
well,
that's
Mr.
my job.
Stallnaker will get them to us by the end of the week, and when do y'all want to schedule a workshop? What's a good time for everybody?
Well, if we got one at the end of the week, we're gonna have to have time, at least a week to digest it.
Okay, so
It's a lot of them.
we have a board meeting next Monday, on the 6th. You want to do the,
That's not gonna give enough
I
time
know,
if we get
I
it
know,
Friday.
I'm just saying, just looking at the calendar.
The next one,
The 13th, maybe?
yes, ma'am.
Is that good for everybody else, or is there a conflict?
That first day of
Excuse me.
The meetings, that's the first day of school.
Yeah, I cannot do the 13th, that's Jefferson County's regular,
Okay.
Okay, what about
but,
a Tuesday, the 14th?
Whatever,
If you would like the attorney to be here.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Tuesday, the 14th at 6, is that a good day for everybody?
and on the
Ma'am.
14th, I couldn't do it any earlier than 6, than 6 o'clock, so I don't.
Okay.
That's good.
Mr. Alford, Mr. Daniel?
That's fine.
Okay. So the workshop will be August the 14th at 6 o'clock.
Madam Chair,
Uh-huh.
I would like to remind the board, and as stated in these policies, these are updates done by Neola. So they sent these based off statute changes.
Right.
So these were the changes they made and suggested. They are the ones, that group of attorneys that this board entered into a contract with to make our policy changes for us. These were not ones that I just went through and decided
Right.
to willy-nilly take a pen and change. This is that group of attorneys reviewing our policies based off statute changes. And they are sending them to us and saying, you need to update these policies based on law changes. So I just wanted to remind the board why we have these policy changes coming through.
Madam Chair, the last time we had a big policy change like this, we did a workshop with it right there, and the person from Neola was there to do it. But may I read here, and it says, as a result of our work with clients, we learned that some prefer to create a more stringent hiring standard than that which is currently mandated by law. Some of these changes are not mandated by law.
Okay.
It's
Well-
in this writing, if you would look under bylaws and policies, right up under the third bold print column, read that first sentence and second sentence.
Right. Well, we'll go over that in the workshop, and we'll have the old that we compare to the new and do that.
That's not a problem.
Thank you, Mr. Stallmaker. And Dr. Pickles.
Interject something real quick
Sure.
on Mr. Stallmaker's behalf. On these policy changes, a lot of them are the responsibility of Sam ramrods the process
Right.
of getting them changed and monitoring it.
Earn your job.
But there's a lot of us that are responsible also for certain sections. And I know myself, in Sam's defense, he's having to hurt a bunch of people to get the changes done. So we'll do it. Regardless of, I understand this.
Mr. Copeland, read your job description and read the board and the superintendent's job description.
Okay, well, since we
Read your
set the
job
workshop,
description, human resource job description. It does not matter who makes the changes or whatever, they always come to the board, and each print, before we decide, we get to decide, we get to vote.
we will. And
Read
we'll
your job
just-
description,
We'll go
please.
over what we need to go over in the workshop. We'll move to 2.6, instruction materials. Ms. Hill.
Just want to bring to you the instructional materials for the 2018-19 school year. These are the core materials that we are using, plus our supplementals. I wanted you to be aware of what we're using. We are trying to cut back some of the supplementals, just because we're trying to be more focused and use what we have the way it's supposed to be used. And so I just wanted you to see what we are using. It's broken down to pre-K to 5, 6 to 8, and then high school. And so, any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we've talked about the cursive writing, and of course, this isn't just my thing, you know,
Right,
because I
right.
have the standards right here.
Yes, ma'am.
And is that something that you wouldn't have put on here, or?
I should have put it on here. I forgot.
Okay,
So,
because
but we have ordered it.
yeah, and is it going to be a workbook for each student, and?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, just,
What grade was that start being taught?
It'll start in 3rd grade.
Third.
Yes, ma'am. I did some research, and the company that puts out Handwriting Without Tears, it's the same company. And so they start off with kindergarten materials just on handwriting. And then by 3rd grade, they move to cursive writing.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, there's been a lot of public support for this, and we're attaching different organizations to encourage it, and we really need to, and then again, it's the law. I mean, it's it's one of the standards, so we've got to do it,
Right.
so. Thank you.
When I did some checking, that different teachers are just using different materials.
Right.
And so this will be a coordinated effort so that everybody's on the same page.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Okay, thank you, Robin. Okay, moving to 2.7.
Well, I need y'all to approve.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a question.
I'm just moving right along.
Is accelerated readers not considered a supplemental? Or,
I guess it could be. We definitely are using accelerated reader. I have scheduled a training, this Friday for, schools to send teachers. I sent the principals their usage list from last year. And so they can send their new teachers and teachers whose students didn't have very many points to this training, and the trainer is going to talk about how to incorporate AR into the classroom. And so, yes, AR, I guess, is a supplemental. So
one question I have, in looking at the ed reports and comparing and contrasting the different curriculums, when will Journeys be up for readoption?
not this coming year. This coming year is going to be math, and it'll be the following year. Right now, the state is actually behind on the cycles, and so it will be year after next. And we know we definitely need to change. But the new adoption won't actually take place until 2000.
And at that time, the ELA for 6th through 8th grade would be relooked at also?
Yes, sir.
Because, I mean, there's other programs out there with higher.
There are. One of the things that we've noticed, though, is we haven't used our programs for fidelity. And we worked hard on that this past year in some grade levels. And the grade levels that really used Springboard the way they were supposed to, their scores came way up.
And just looking on which again, I mean, you're looking at a company that evaluates, but
Right.
in the ed report, there's a big difference between, like, for instance, wit and wisdom versus Springboard and Journeys.
Right.
A big difference
Big
in all
difference.
areas.
Yes, there
And,
is.
I guess it would just keep the teacher from having to go and get supplementals. I guess it's looking at the whole picture.
You're right.
I just had a question in regards to the cursive writing. To what degree will that be implemented? Would that be a requirement or?
It will be, because we're providing the materials to the teachers,
Should be a requirement.
I mean, they'll have to provide grades for it. Now, you know, like all other assignments, it'll be averaged in with lots of other grades. But it will be required for them to implement it.
Because I was at the perception that society was kind of getting away from cursive or writing in general, you know, due to the technology and computers and everything. Maybe I'm missing something.
No,
Because
they're
they
getting,
can't sign their name.
they're getting
Yeah.
away from it, but it's not their choice. The schools have stopped teaching it.
Right.
Now, this is
But
a,
I'm saying, I'm thinking that it's not being taught for a reason.
well, I think because they weren't provided with the materials, you know.
Why it's not being taught?
Yes, ma'am.
I think it's a combination. I do think part of it is where we're going, to
With
more technology. But I also, I mean, even, people still have to sign stuff.
That's exactly, I like it because, have you seen the signatures?
Yeah. But
And you
apart from-
need to
They're gonna be
able
making
to
X's
sign.
before it's all over
But
with.
apart from the signatures, though, what other examples can we,
In the,
use?
in the FSA, they have to do a writing assignment to be graded, and if their handwriting is so poor that the evaluator can't read it, they're gonna get counted off on it. I mean, one of the reasons, in my opinion, that cursive has stopped being taught was it was not something tested on the FSA. We were gearing toward math, science, and reading, and all other was falling behind. And I mean, the bottom line, in the ELA, in the 4th, 8th, and 10th grade, they have to write paragraph, or they have to write a story to be graded.
In pen, you mean?
Yes.
They do. Yeah, and that's, if you go back and you look at the reason why we have cursive, it's because it's a quicker way of writing. You know, when you write in cursive, it was developed because it is easier or quicker to write that way once you learn how to do it. And so, there is a, you know, when you're taking notes and that kind of stuff, if you can write in cursive, it is faster. But, you know, there are people who will say, well, you know, they used to teach shorthand, but we don't teach that anymore either. So, you know, it's just the desire of this board. Get your copy.
Ms. Hubbard, you had a comment?
I do too.
Oh, I was just agreeing with you, Hill, and I was trying to remember the article I read, but I can't remember right now, but there's a connection between the flowing of your thinking and cursive writing also.
I've got a lot of information. I really checked on this to see the value of it, and it's not
The
just
kids
something
love
that I have an agenda. I mean, especially when it's in one of the standards. But in case you'd like to have a copy of this,
You
I'll
finished,
get
Ms.
you a
Hill?
copy.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve 2.1 instructional materials.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, motion made by Ms. Hagan, seconded by Mr. Offer to approve the, did you have something to say?
No, I'm just-
Okay, I'm sorry. To approve the instructional materials for 2018-19. All those in favor? 5-0, Ms. Becky. Okay, now, 2.7, the MOU with the union today.
The union met earlier today, and Mr. Dixon brought me back this agreement signed by Ms. Roberts, so I went ahead and signed it. This is a recruitment tool. There are monies, as in stated in item 2, there are monies, that statement and language has already been approved by DOE, payable through our SIG, our last year of our SIG. So when it says the Madison County School Board has funds, that's in our SIG monies. It's already been approved, that language, that's the reason it's very specific as far as the use of the BAM. We had to have that all approved by them. That was approved back in May, I believe. So it's just taken us this long to have the union meeting.
So that's where those funds are coming from,
Yes,
SIG.
ma'am.
Okay. How long will SIG be lasting with
This
us?
is our last year.
That's what I
Yes,
thought,
ma'am.
last year. Thank you.
Okay.
So,
Are there any, any other concerns or questions about the MOU?
Mr. Stoneacker can now try to find some teachers and try to recruit some with the recruitment bonus and any retired teachers that we can try to find some.
How many teachers are we needing?
I know Ms. Dixon kind of collapsed some classes because she's kind of
We're able
getting
to start
nervous.
school with what we have in place.
I asked how many teachers are we
Just
needing?
one moment, please.
I know Pinetta needs one or one.
Mm-hmm.
Central needs the second and third, and needs 7th grade math.
Is that 3?
I'm gonna tell you
October
exactly
3?
what's advertised.
Greenville needs one.
Pinetta's all field,
One.
One.
It is all filled.
high schools. Madison High, League 0.
They have, it's the bottom. Greenville's got one opening, the high school has got one math, Central School has got 2 2 elementary ed openings. Which pages? We have 1 middle school math at Central School. We have 4 paraprofessionals at the Central School, 1 paraprofessional at Pinetta, and that's it for right now.
Thank you.
I have a question concerning if we were to hire a new or retired teacher and they would come in on step 10 for this year, next year would they go back to, if they were to stay, they would stay on where they're at?
But we have to bargain that every year. I mean, that's the reason.
But I mean, with the SIG going away, would that,
No, they would stay at
The step would stay, the sign-on bonus may go away when SIG goes away.
Correct.
This MOU doesn't mean the teachers are paid out of SIG. There's no salary, there's none of our teachers that we hire based on this will be paid out of that.
Just the bonus money.
well, if that's the issue with that, why are they objecting for the teachers to be countywide? That would be, is the return of the retiree, is that countywide or? That's countywide, okay. I was for some reason thinking it was just at Central.
Any other questions?
So I do ask for your approval on this.
I make the motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the District School Board of Madison County and the Madison County Educational Association.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Alford, second by Ms. Gibson. All those in favor? 5-0, Ms. Becky. Okay, superintendent items.
Been putting out signs.
High five.
High five signs.
Okay,
Didn't have much success with children being home today. I think a lot of children are taking their last vacation before returning.
okay, well, good for them, though. Okay, Attorney Adams?
No, ma'am, not unless you have questions of me.
I do. Where are we on the Teacher of the Year? We have received a reply from her. And she said that, you know what to say it.
Yes, ma'am.
Where are we on that? Have you contacted her, asking her? She said she would meet with us.
She sent a reply declining to give us further information, but saying that she would meet.
Exactly.
The attorneys, the attorneys for the superintendent had drafted a reply requesting her to meet. They had sent that to me. It sat on my desk for a couple of days. I just now contacted the superintendent and said, yes, I thought that was a good reply. So we're following up with that to try to get a meeting with her so she can give us the information. To be frank, though, I was a little disappointed in her reply because the reply did not indicate a willingness to tell us facts and those types of things. I do think we need to follow up. I do think we need to try to get that specific information, but an investigation can't proceed without dates and facts and who was there. And I think if she maintains that position, then I don't think you'll be able to proceed with an investigation.
Let me ask you this question. As I read in there, she said she had already given this information to someone. It's in her letter that she had given that information to someone. Who did she give it to?
Well,
So someone should know if she says that she has given this information
but in our
and
request,
never act on.
But in our request, we had asked her, list out who you gave information to and when you gave it and all of that. For instance, if she gave information to her principal and her principal never followed up, that principal has an issue. They should have followed up and should have conducted an investigation. But if all she does is say, I gave information to somebody, we don't have any good way to investigate that.
No, I understand that.
Um,
Well,
I-
all these parties should be questioned then, if the information had been turned over to them or given to them.
And I think it is my understanding that the administrative staff has been questioned, and do you know anything about what she's talking about? And they've all said no. So at this point, I think we give her one more shot. If she's willing to come over and meet with us, that's wonderful. We'll sit down and talk. But if she
But this
maintains that
accusation
same,
has been made.
it has.
So the accusations have been made. So if she doesn't talk with us, the board has to decide what we're gonna do.
You do,
I mean, well, we can be finished with her, but what are we gonna do because those complaints have been made? So now we need to,
well, to the extent the complaints are of just generalized problems in the district, this board can take action whether those complaints are made or not. You always have that authority to do
exactly.
that. But when you receive specific complaints, you have a duty to investigate and try to find out those specific instances. And that's really what I'm kind of geared toward is I think we've got to either proceed with that investigation, given facts and figures and specifics, or we have to declare that it's over and, we're not going to proceed. Now,
With her.
with her. Now, the generalized feeling of we need to take better steps on issue 1, issue 2, issue 3, y'all didn't need a complaint to do that.
That's what I'm
You
saying.
do that because you
So,
want to.
with her, we will be finished with her.
Correct.
But we need to take further steps to ensure
Yes, ma'am.
that we can't stop people from making accusations, but
That's
we can have stuff in place.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is certainly a core mission of this board to make sure that its students are all treated fairly and equally and have a good and safe place to go to school and all of that. And so that the board really does have to take that very seriously and do whatever it thinks is appropriate.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions of the attorney? Okay, any board member items, Mr. Alford?
I just want to thank Ms. Dixon. The other day with the tour, there's been a lot of improved changes with the cleanliness at the school, a lot of improvements noted. I thank her for that and the custodians for all their hard work. This past week, the high school band had their band camp, or the past 2 weeks, actually. The new band director, Mr. DeLuca, he is doing a really good job. It was really nice getting to see their exhibition type show Friday night. And so we're excited about this upcoming year. The uniforms, I think, are in, and
Good.
everything's a go.
Ms. Hagan?
Is everything a go with the uniforms?
They had
Yeah,
a
the
sample
funds.
uniform out
They
there.
had a sample up there where everybody could see
I'm
it.
saying, but the funds.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think they're all.
And Mrs. Dixon, I will be getting back with you later. I was ill at that particular time. Thank you.
Mr. Daniels?
Yeah, I would concur. I think, the school looked, definitely improved and looked better and everything, so I commend Ms. Dixon and the staff for that as well.
Ms.
I'd
Gibson?
I'd like to thank Mrs. Dixon also for I was very impressed with the Central School. Thank you for what you're doing. I attended the Chamber of Commerce meeting as the representative from the board last Monday, and you might want to make a note of it. The banquet will be October 8th this year. And there's a couple new restaurants coming into town. Ken's will be a new restaurant, and the one on 150 in Greenville's reopening. I also met with the new band director, Mr. DeLuca. I was very impressed with him. I have good feelings about the band this year, and I look forward to it. And I think that was it.
All right, thank you. I too would like to thank Ms. Dixon. When I did my walkthrough, it looked very nice. And I want to say special thank you to Ms. Bodenstein. She had on her jeans and her T-shirt and was painting and scrubbing doors. So thank you, Ms. Bodenstein, for your volunteering. So we want to thank all of y'all, and the custodial staff. Be sure to thank them for us, Ms. Dixon. And that's all that I have. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn.
Second?
Madam Chairman.
Second.
Second, not Ms. Gibson. I didn't do, we all got that email, if we want to donate to the breakfast for the back to school. They're feeding.
I didn't get my, you told me.
Thank you, Madison.
Do what?